So a lot of the times people see or about, and I'm very authentic about, because the journey isn't straight. You know, it's not always hunky-dory, and there are hiccups along the way. And these are the things that people hide from us. We look at those mang, we look at them wearing shiny suits, and we think, oh, that one grew up, not home. And yet they hungered through it all. They hustled through it all. They entrepreneured through it all. I kind of saw snippets of the speaker that spoke yesterday, hustler. And that is a spirit that I would say that is similar to the 1976 spirit. I say that because the war that we're fighting now is not an apartheid war. It's an economical one. I'm going to show you stats of how many unemployed people there are right now. That Stats SA registered. What is what can I know about what centers? Have they checked, you guys? But check out on that so that they can send those reviews to Stats SA to update what's happening, right? They want to check who's working, who's not working, how much are you earning? Do you have a, hey guys, they're asking about vacuum cleaners. I'm like, how? And then, manje, what's happening here? What's that got to do with anything, you know? Or maybe they want to check, or if you only vacuum cleaner, you are using a lot of electricity. So I don't know. But basically, that's a snippet of my profile. So before I even got to my postgrad, it was a journey of note because, as I said, I dropped out of UCT, right? So going back to my journey of when we moved to Polokwane, all along my childhood, I was one of those academically okay children. So, but top 10, jalo corner, you're there, right? When I moved to Polokwane, because it was a culture shock, and I went into this African school, and then, hey, guys, it was just like a culture shock for me personally. And I remember I had shifted from getting like 78s and 80s in mathematics to the first term getting like 30% in maths. That messed up my confidence. That messed up everything about me. I didn't even know, are you still that rabbit or what's happening, you know? And it took a lot. I didn't even like go for like extra lessons or anything. I just went back and focused on, you know, doing more exercises and whatnot. By the second term, back in, number 2 in the top 10. Because you dust, you move on. That's life, that's a cycle of life. You cannot zupa and stay there. And that's the principle that you guys will need to have to move forward with. It's the beginning of the year, the first test comes through, you get 20%, you're like, yay! You zupa, you move on, you dust yourself, and you carry on and you push hard. That's the cycle of life. And so by the time I got to matric, I was like prefect, part of like I was a secretary. And then when it came to applying to institutions, I was just confused. I didn't know which institution to apply for. First of all, where was the money going to come from? Let's start there. As a black child, single parent mother, where's the money going to come from for me to go to school? I laid down, I remember I had printed the forms that, what it is, a UP, UJ, what vets. I laid them down, confused, not even sure which course to actually study. Because there's also that dilemma that you face to say, what am I supposed to be studying? What am I good at? What do I like? But because some lady came through with a pencil skirt and high heels, guys, at school, she came through with a trolley bag, modeling and saying, guys, do you want to earn, how much money was it back then? I think she said, do you want to earn 40,000 Rand per month? Travel around the world and live lavishly? Well, come to KPMG because CASA is the career for you, what. And then I got attached to this CA thing. I was like, yes, imagine my name, Robert Omolapo, CASA. Hey, Lidi Chomitsaka were like 4 letters, 2 brackets. Like we're just like on some, yes. We used to call each other, those ones that we wanted to be CAs, they are CAs now, I'm not. But you know what I'm saying? Like I just was concerned about the career itself. I didn't know. I didn't even know what a CA did. I know there's accounting, but I didn't know what do they do like on a daily basis? Like, okay, you wake up, you drink coffee, you go to work. What do you do? Do you sit at a table the whole time? Do you chat with people? Like, do you research? Okay, fine. You're businessing. But then you're always stuck in a room just busy, either on your laptop or on a book, right? But then I just chose this career because I just was looking at the money in me. I was like, at least my family is getting out of poverty. This is the way. So then, fine, applied, then decided on the one institution. I put all my cards on UCT. Gore ke a qualify or go diragalang. That was none of my business. I applied to the school by God's grace. Hey, that one was a God's grace, guys. I got in. I get there, you walk into the campus, okay, it's like dreamy and everything. In the room, wonke umuntu is a head girl, head boy. Wonke umuntu comes from these like, you know, like those high-end schools that you don't even know that they existed. I'm like, not Brakpan High, but never Bisbo, Hilton College and St. Dunstan's and St. what. I'm like, okay. And then they tell you that they had like 9 subjects. You're like, I thought we only had 7. So you get in there, you're intimidated. First day, you're intimidated. These people are rolling in English. They are rolling in money. Some of them are already driving dream cars. Range Rover, what, GTI. We're in first year. And these people have these things. So why are they even here? Like, why are you hustling? Why are you here? You know? Anyway, you go through the journey. So for me, I was then exposed to different societies on campus. Then I got into some of those leadership roles. So your Black Management Forum, I was part of the executive. InvestSoc, I was also part of it. They had a leg called Young Women in Finance. I was very much intrigued in that one and was also part of the executive there. Then there was my favorite thing that I went with a friend. We went to audition for it. It was UCT Radio. I was like, hey, maybe at least it will be a creative outlet so that it's not too much academic what things. We go there. We do an audition to do news reading. We nail it. We get it. And usually, I mean, that setup was made mostly for like the media students, right? Science and news reading. And my friend, she was studying medicine at that time. So we were like the odd ones out because it wasn't our industry, but we were there. Then comes the manager, News and Talk, and she says to me, Ria, so we're going through election times. We need extra hands on deck. Would you mind producing the current affairs show? Like, producing? What is that? I don't even know what production. Like, what is that? You know, like, what do you do? Only producer? Like, I don't understand. Do you touch the buttons or what do you do? I went, I researched. I was like, oh, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, kind of, sort of. She approached me. I didn't approach her. So she must see something in me, right, that I don't see in myself. So I was like, let me gamble and let me do this. Hey guys, that was an evening show that was done. Following day was my accounting test at 8 a.m. Did I study? Busy, but interview with Helen Zil, not busy. Oh, switching to the next mic, switching to Mang Mang. That's what I cared about. Because for me, that was my point of zen. That was my point of passion. I was happy at that space. I loved the fact that I was able to share information and share knowledge. You know? It was a medium that was being used, and obviously you like the voice part of it and whatever. But for me, it was, I came alive when I was in that space. Sooner than later, the same manager then says, we're going to create a show that is about entrepreneurship and business. We would like you to be the producer for that one. I was like, hey, girl, you had me at entrepreneurship and business. And then we started. We had the host who was running the show. We would have guests coming in. Some of the actual students of the school were running businesses, and I didn't even know that they were running business. I just thought we're all the same. We're just coming to school, going back home. That's it. And the people are running businesses, hectic businesses during that time. You know, the hustle of the day. And for me, that intrigued. And I think when I joined the dots of my life, I'm like, so many eureka moments that make sense to where I am now and what I do now. And then we speak about this group of people called millennials. Who are these people? It's me. It's you. But remember also, they're broken down into different groups and segments. So there's the millennials or the Generation Ys, which would be more aligned to my age group. Who else? I think we are Gen Ys. Nina ma 2000. What's happening? Nina nama Gen Z. The TikTok generation. Yes. Guys, I'm joking, but the largest population in the world is this group of people. So if you think about it, if that's the largest population in the world, and also in the African continent, 60% of the population is us. Now then you question, how come people that are not our age are making decisions for us? Where are they taking this continent? And is this continent relevant to us? Perhaps you should be in the board of directors in some of these companies and advise Coke how to market to your generation. That's where your guys' TikTok accounts then make sense and make money. But that's just an idea I'm seeding in you, that you don't just look at these things as just entertainment, it's just having fun. It's how you look at it, the perspective that you look at it. And perhaps that would be your career. And this is why you have young people that are millionaires just testing out games. To our parents, that's the stupidest thing, because I told you to go to school to study accounting and medicine and law. But what direction is the world going at? I'm not saying don't study those things. I'm saying figure out your passion, figure out your skills, but also figure out the context, the world, the direction that the world is moving in. So the future of this continent, of Africa, is changing. Whether you are cognizant of it, whether you are aware of it, whether you are not aware, it's not easy. Everything is changing, but you need to figure out how are you going to be a part of it. So currently the statistics are mibereko. Another question that I have for you guys would also be, post-studies, what are your plans? Can I open the floor? Post-studies, what are your plans? What are you going to do? Is the Connie plan or and that's the unfortunate truth of how life is. You can't even make the plans that you would like to, because ngachincha in the next 2 years. And then that makes me question, Hore, the courses, we were having the discussion earlier, the courses that we are studying, are they relevant? Ding, 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 ding. Finally, so no age, no plate. And have a discussion to say, you are allowing certain courses constantly to be repeated in our schools. Aragani, we choose them because that's where the spaces are at. But are the skills that we are learning relevant now? And will they be relevant in the future? Or are you just setting ourselves up for failure so that we can depend on your 350? Check some of these things, check how systematic they are. In my view, I know because a lot of people go to school, you study so that you can get a job. That's the order of life. That's the strategy. If you studied education, why education was created, education, the system of education, was originally created. Why? Because there was those, now we're talking about the fourth industrial revolution. So there was the first industrial revolution, the second industrial revolution. So between the first and the second industrial revolution, firms, right? And a lot of the people now had to learn how to work with the machinery, how to learn to do admin. That's when education started. Because now they would just take anybody, but they needed to learn how to do the stuff. Education was then created to help kind of like mainstream the different operations within a business. So within a business, you'd need motokhonang horoka, or who could be able to assemble the machinery. You needed somebody who could do the paperwork. That's where admin came from. You needed somebody who would get you business. That's where marketing came from, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So education on its own was linked to the fact that there were jobs that were already there. So now we've got education, but are there jobs at the end of the tunnel? Question mark. So for me personally, I feel that I wouldn't say entrepreneurship is the answer, but it's one of the answers. I say this because even when you enter into varsity, I think that you should have the mindset, if I'm told what will I be doing? It should be groomed in you as a child. You look at certain races and certain belief systems, the Judaic system, the Judaism system, Islamic system, they teach their kids from a young age. If the father is a lawyer and has a law firm, they are taught legalities, but they're also taught how to run a business at a young age so that they can take over that business. But our parents don't have these establishments, right? So who then will teach us how to enterprise? Who then will teach us how to ideate or how to innovate? Because even innovation, you can innovate in a corporate industry. You look at your companies like the KPMG, it's not just an auditing firm. They actually help other big corporates to strategize, which means to help them come up with solutions, which means to innovate. For me, this is why innovation is the key of a lot of things. How do we learn to ideate? How do we learn to innovate? That will then communicate with the relevant bodies, either corporates. There's some solutions I'm assuming you guys have. But how do you document them? How do you even come up with them? And how do you make sure that those solutions, they are khonagala? When do we implement? How do we know? If you come up with a particular solution, how do you know that it actually works? You need to test it out, right? So this is why I say, my view, entrepreneurship is like insurance. But if I was to then ask you, when you think of the word entrepreneurship, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Money. Yeah, what is the first thing that comes to mind when you think of entrepreneur or entrepreneurship? She says the first thing that pops up is money. Business. What's business? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Perfect. That's a nice textbook. Nice textbook definition. Anyone else? Is any of your parents entrepreneurs? What do they do? What do they sell? What do they?
She's selling cupcakes for students.
Entrepreneur, 100%. Any other examples? Yes, sir? Internet cafe. What's the difference between an entrepreneur and a tenderpreneur? Is it the same thing? Why is it different? Why do you think it's different? This is just a conversation, guys. I'm not a lecturer. I'm not. Just a conversation. What's the difference between a tenderpreneur and an entrepreneur? Tender ke umita ni dilian. Amiti ni. I think it's kontir. Ma'am.
I think a tenderpreneur, the difference is that a tenderpreneur, you depend on someone to give you a job based on the skills that you have.
Or you don't have.
Oh, yeah.
Because.
As an entrepreneur, you use your own skills to make money and grow your business.
But isn't that an entrepreneur? His mom does fat cakes. Her skill is she can do that. So, is she a tenderpreneur or not? Yes, sir.
An entrepreneur and a tenderpreneur, I can say that a tenderpreneur is also an entrepreneur. It's just that the methodology or how they get business.
How? Hey, yeah. Brown envelopes left, right, and center. Yeah?
You see, yeah, because of tender, you apply for it and all that to position yourself so that you get business. But someone who's only in entrepreneurship and is not doing tenders, they can have a base and a physical distribution platform and just work without being afforded a contract by that part.
Okay. Okay. I hear what you mean. So, then if we then open, you use the word contract. So what's the difference between tenderpreneur and a contractor? I'm asking because, you know, I think how we view certain things, we either say angen lapo because of who we see and what they do, like what you were saying earlier on, how they get their business. You know, so whether, let's say, you're female, you're selling yourself to get the business, Whether you're a guy, because it raises all these other issues that are current affairs, like what's up with After Niners, but that's just another topic for another day. But it then makes you question, what is an entrepreneur? You know, the internet cafe example, for example, you could be running a day-to-day operations that people come through and print documents and whatever. But you could also tender to a government and print massive documents that they require. You could tender to a research institutions, whatever that they require that needs printing, you do that. If they could then also partner with a marketing company that does big banners, they print the banners. So it depends on how you then visualize and see the value chain and how they interact with one another. Certain things aren't as bad as we think they are, because the problem is we're seeing a lot of corruption. And a lot of the times with us millennials, it's literally something that was researched. One of the things that we hate and detest is the system, the socio-economic system that's happening right now, and corruption. So I'll show you the stats now. So this is what we were speaking about earlier on. According to the previous census, most probably by media or by whenever they come with the stats. So by 2021 in the third quarter, the South African official unemployment rate was registered as 34.9%. Then if you break it down to the age groups that we spoke about, the Gen Ys and Gen Zs, the 15-year-olds to the 25-year-olds was recorded at 74.8%. What does that mean? What are these people doing? Are they sitting at home watching TV, watching TikToks? How do they afford these TikToks? How do they afford the data? Because we're still, whether or not we're employed or unemployed, the fact is rahema. We eat every day, we eat the magwenyas every day, we drink the waters every day, so money's still being used, even though we're not getting some form of income. But the stats are scary. And this is why I'm questioning the system that we have right now. Are they trying to push us to be reliant on them so that we feel their relevance? And the question would be that if entrepreneurship became an answer, how much reliant would we be on government, and would we be rendering them null and void? The graduate unemployment rate sitting at 40.3% then begs the question, the relevance of education. Sorry guys for poking. So now then, as a young student, you're fresh, you've registered yourself at TUT, you're a first year, second year, third year, you're cocoting to leave. Maybe you've been here, you're a third year for 7 years. It's a reality, guys, it's a reality. I'm not dissing anyone, it's a reality, right? And so then you ask yourself, I've been galazing all these years, attending school, getting my NSFAS. I know in Polokwane they are toy-toying now. They don't want the money to come through to the landlords. They want the money to come through directly to them. Hey, guys. So you're galazing and you've been here for about 3 years, 4 years, and you then ask yourself, if so many things are happening around the world, there's these disruptions, there's these what, is the course that I'm studying relevant? And if it's not, what do I do now to equip myself so that I can secure either a better job? King Eshotang, right now, if you literally Google, I've been recently checking out what are the career trends. Like if you just Google, you're looking for a job, everything has like digital in front of it first. So I say marketing, get digital marketing, get digital analysis, get what, quantitative, what, with digital in front of it. But you ask yourself, with the courses that we have, are those provided? So in order for us to align ourselves to what the market is currently needing, maybe we'll need to re-edit some certificates to add on to what we are studying so that we can get the jobs. Because if you just studied marketing point blank, but every company right now is looking for a digital marketer, you're irrelevant, just by that virtue. No, the 77p is fine. Okay, girl. We are the price, place, what? Marketing mix. But do you know how to take my brand as a business? If I'm Coke, do you know how to get my product to the people? The people right now are living double lives physically, but also online. So do you have the relevant skill to take my brand as Coke, as whatever entity that I am, as even government? Can you make me visible online? So then that means that we might need to substitute the courses that we're doing with short courses that will align us to that place. These are some of the questions that we then need to ask ourselves as we're journeying as young people, right? And if not, the question would be, can I start a business with the current set skills that I have? A question. Do you guys think entrepreneurs, like leaders, are either born or made? Substantiate, man.
When I say both, I refer to some of the people already have skills. It's entrepreneurship, though they have not learned them anywhere.
Yes.
And then we are sometimes taught about entrepreneurship. There are people who come and motivate us about businesses and teach us how to do.
And I think you're raising a very important perspective, Yahore. There are people who are on the ground. They don't even call themselves entrepreneurs because she's just making magwinya. She's just providing for her children and for her family. She doesn't even brand herself, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. She's literally just living her life, meeting a need, and that's it. Then we get to school, we're all theoretical about it, and sometimes you find that these things that we're studying, the people that study that thing can't even apply it. But they are already doing it. And that's the thing, is that whatever you apply, what you know, even if it sounds stupid, apply, test it. Test it out in the market. If it's, someone was asking, what's the relevance of t-shirt printing business if right now we're moving into a technological age and we need things like fiber? Why not go into a business that provides fiber? But now what the same argument is, it depends on context. If I can afford to start a business, yeah, fiber, I'm going to start ka e ke kgonang go e afforda, which is t-shirt printing, right? Ke kgereza ka yona. But at the same time, as young people, we need to then be strategic. Let me start with what I have, then shift into the next phase. The problem is we're always stuck in the same place. Mang uthomile diteki. Manje wonke umuntu enza amateki. Because it worked for two people, now the rest of us, then the market becomes saturated. And then we ask ourselves, but what problem are we even solving by making these products? We're currently living in what we call a VUCA world. A lot of the times in most business schools, this is a term that they use to explain hore izinto ziyajika. So it's an acronym. The V stands for volatile. Everything is rapid and changing and unpredictable. U stands for uncertain. C stands for everything is complex. You'll try to explain to, maybe you'll say, the problem in social movement is water. Then government will tell you, no, as a matter of fact, the problem is not the water, it's the pipe system. It's rusted from the apartheid system. Then they blame that. Then you check the pipe system and you're like, no, actually the tendering system is the problem because you quoted 5 million and they didn't even replace anything. Then Renara Safara as customers because you failed to make things right. So that adds on to the element of the fact that we're living in a complicated world. Even if you try to solve some of these problems, corruption apartheid business yeah, those kinds of situations. And then A stands for ambiguous. Everything is unclear. Like you mentioned earlier on, you're going to graduate and you can't even make plans because everything is VUCA, uncertain. You don't even know, will I get a job, will I not get a job? There was this particular study that was made a few years ago. We're in 2022 right now. I actually want us to go through it and check, is this relevant, right? So this person, when they created this, the World Economic Forum, I think it was Charles Schwab. How do you pronounce it? Charles Schwab. He came up with this whole notion, there's going to be a fourth industrial revolution, therefore we need to prepare for it. And they then did this research to say that the skill sets that are mentioned on the gray area will decline and these ones will grow. So this was done in 2018. We're in 2022. I want us to check, is this happened or has this happened? Is this happening now? They said that there would be a decrease in manual work. If we check now, has there been a decrease in like type of manual work over the couple of years? So everything is more systematic, right? Rely on machine to do these things, which means that if we went to school to know how to work something, like I was talking to a friend of mine last night, if we went to school as artisans and we were taught how to diagnose a problem in a car back in the day, how it's done now, they just plug in a machine and it diagnoses which part is wrong. So that means those people end up without jobs. We won't go through the whole list, but I'm just trying to say is that reading, writing, math, and active listening will decline and will be replaced with critical thinking and analysis. Goes back to what I said earlier on to say when you research jobs these days, it's like digital analysis. What, digital, what? It's like more of analysis. And the analysis thing is not you doing the analysis physically with your brain or with your mind. It's a computer. You just plug in information, and it has results that come outside, right? So as a matter of fact, these skills are where you guys should be now. The blue side is how you guys are supposed to be thinking, how you're supposed to be operating. And the question would be, are we there? I'm not even there myself, guys. But I'm assuming some of you are getting there or are there. But it's something that you need to keep at the back of your mind as you're reading, as you're studying. And as mentioned earlier, I think it wasn't Tatam Khal who said that you need to continuously read and engage, be informed. And that's how you'll know things. Just constantly Google. I know you like to be Googling about Rihanna, Apari. But while you're Googling that, also Google, the hard stuff, So this is why I believe that the youth of Africa need to begin to be, or to understand why it's important to be equipped to adapt to the current agilities, right? Everything is uncertain. But now, as this demographic, as this youth, we need to then be able to adapt to this thing because everything is changing. How do you adapt to it? How do you change with it? Because we're stuck in between a time where we're told, these are the careers that you should be going. These are the subjects that are available. But then the world is saying, things are changing. So we're in between a gap. But we need to then make sure that we're aligning ourselves to get there, okay? How do we do this? We do this by zoning in on what's happening around us. That's why you need to be informed. What's happening in your country, but also what's happening in your continent and in your world. Which country in Africa would you say is actually on the good track record when it comes to technological advancements and alignments on this continent? What's happening in Rwanda, sir? Ziyabuya. Ngathi siyahamba siyakhona. Ibacofa.
I don't know much. Their infrastructure and technological comparing to other countries, especially in Africa. I can say that they are more advanced and a lot of young people there from my source.
Hey, Unali sauce. Guys, he has a sauce. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't know much, but I can say that technologically they are moving in that direction.
Okay, so that country decided to have a sole strategy, like a unionized strategy, where they looked at what's happening. And I'm assuming this is how China got up. Because remember, China was a third world country. When I was younger, y'all weren't around. But when I was younger, China was like us. They were a third world country. Then they decided to have strategy with their country to say, technology, we want to be the ones. Then they made sure that their young people get groomed into this thing. Because lababona, banali 2 years, mutu ke look busy khona lokisa phone. 2 years, I can't have a phone. Right? They were strategic. And now you look at these gadgets, guys. The metals that are used in these gadgets, where does these things come from? No, the metals. The gadget comes from China. The metals. We literally are making the world go round, but we don't see it. They create chips or whatever. There was a research at my group about this company that they just manufacture chips. They're the richest company. We think rich is like Mark Zuckerberg. No, that we don't know that company, but they're making money. They literally just microchips. The metals, they source them from here. Then everything just makes you wonder. How much are we selling these metal chips to these guys that we're buying it back as Apple at 20,000 rand? TP, any TP, your phone, any TP that's in there, yeah. This continent. TP, guys, chippy. Chippy that goes in this here comes from this continent, but we take it that side. Swiss chocolate. Where does the cocoa come from? But we call it Swiss chocolate. That's what irritates me the most. Bo, lidikrele ka di 14. Oh, barle, kana baring bari ante. Channel chelete ya nama, kampane ka raka braai pack. They buy. But what I'm trying to say is that a lot of the things that make the European and American economies run are resources that come from here. So we literally are the core. But now the moment if we as the young people began to cut off, what would happen? Imagine that. Imagine if Africa could cut those people off and we did that ourselves. We would be what America is. We would be well sought after. We would be like Zangagaras. And I think we could get there, but it needs a lot of work. It needs a lot of mental work, mindset adaptability. And some of these guys that are running the show must also just get a wake-up call. But in your journey as a student, then because of these things, you then need to ask yourself these questions to say, how will I'm studying for change in the future? What are the probabilities of it? Will it be an obsolete career? Will it still be existing? Or it can be see? How will I guarantee that in the journey that I'm charting, success, or kinobala to while time away, look lokela nesfas? What other skills do I need to add to my qualification that I can be relevant to the market? How can I be more attractive to the people that are giving out these jobs? What is my plan? What is my plan A? But then I also need to have plan B. Then I also need to have a plan C. Maybe even D. But you need to have something, or if this doesn't work, if this doesn't work, it doesn't make you, because I know that some people are like double-minded, people are uncertain in their ways, but if you listen to some of the speakers that spoke before, they're doing books, they're doing this, it's that element of trying to balance life because incomes steady different help. Sometimes there's seasons where a certain business doesn't bring in money. So you need to, so you need to live, and in order for that, you need to breathe and buy bread and clothes and pay for bills. So you need to then think about where you are now. Create a plan A, B, C, or D. You can't say as a plan A is to marry Zwanba. And then the question is, do I have some of the needed skills for the future world of work? What does the future world of work look like? And do I have these skills? If I don't, I need to do that gap analysis and then do something about it. So on top of this thinking that you are thinking, you then need to think deeper into, start thinking about your context, where you are situated. You are in Africa, you're in South Africa, but you're in Harangu, right? Where do you, as a millennial or as a Gen Z or as a 2000, as people would call you, where do you fit in South Africa at this point in time? What do you bring to the table, South Africa? Kana ring that, is it a meme or what? Is it like those audio what? What do you bring to the table? And they're like, honey, I am the table. So yeah, look closer into the continent, guys. Find out that one of my friends, he used to lecture at the African Leadership University. One kotela ari, dude, why to read women bomme babareksang discopas on the streets? I don't even have to pay them cash. Renar ko over 45 or bleedy 1 rand, right? I don't know. Sila. taxi. I was on the taxi mats. Babis baswipe ko taxi. And we're asking ourselves, we understand the taxi industry in South Africa, that it's a far-fetched dream and a lot of blood will be shed. It'll be another World War IV on its own. You get to then look at other parts within our continent. How are they operating? Why is it that Melung Huru, we would assume, doesn't know how to use technology, but she doesn't have to accept cash. You're able to pay electronically. And that then also goes to show that in today's world, or moving forward, money will actually, like physical money, will no longer be relevant. Because right now, you pay me via EFT, right? If I pay for stuff, I usually buy online. I swipe at a shop. Like actual printed money is becoming null and void. And I almost spoke about Bitcoins and stuff, but I don't want to talk about that. But then it makes you then look closer into Africa, right? And there's two common assumptions that people have about Africa, Jorge. There's no way that you can talk about technology because our infrastructure, okay, first of all, technological breakthroughs can only happen in the rich countries, your Europe, your America. They can't happen here because we're still struggling about SASA, we're still struggling about the roads, we don't even have sanitation, but there are some really cool technological things happening, and people are getting like really cool funding, like couples of millions of dollars for their businesses, right? I want to introduce you to some of the people that I've met in my journey of life. One of them, I met them at UCT, and one of them is Melvin. So Melvin was a senior to us. At some point, he was actually even head student go UCT. And he studied actuarial science, went on to do MBA go Oxford, and then with the team that he was with, they came up with Go1. Go1 is a platform that it's an ed tech, education technology. It's a platform where educational material and institutions to them, and then they then sell it to corporate. You know, like in any company, the employees always have to upskill themselves. So they have like of companies that are registered with them, and they just go and sell, but online. They don't even do it like, but yeah. And so that's the platform that they created, and they've been getting some really cool funding, like a couple of $1 million for it. They've been able to expand and employ people, and even the companies that register under them have been able to expand. Because remember, now because it's a platform, it doesn't matter if you're South Africa or London or Guy. People are studying. Even now, the trend of online, you know, like online short courses is big. A lot of skills you might have to add on. These are the places that you guys can plug into to get those skills into UT. Another young Bunolo Ramasedi. Bunolo Ramasedi, also I met her at varsity. She studied CA and spent some time in America. I think she came back right before, like maybe the year before COVID. So it's Ali corporate, Ali CA. Then she just felt like this whole accounting thing is, yeah, it's not for me. She spent some time, exercised most of the time while she was gymming, then lockdown happened. Then during lockdown, she's like, how do I maintain my fitness? And if I can't, maybe I've got some equipment at home. There are other people who are very much reliant on, what do you call them? So what would happen if I created a platform where they do that? And she literally just started that business, and it's thriving now. Just meeting a simple need took her out of her career, and now she's thriving in it, right? And so she started Viking Fitness. Ola's another one. I also made at varsity. So he came up with this product called Limu years ago. I really remember the years because even now, he's added some elements to his business. But what Limu was as well, it was a platform. So the same, what platform do you guys use here at T2 to upload assignments, and what do you guys call it, Yamo? White space. Bright. Right. So you guys have a platform called Brightspace, right? So where you get announcements, your lecturers upload your assignments, you submit your assignments on that. So we had that at UCT, it was called Vula. Wits had it and you know. So I put high school this thing. What would happen if guy creator, same thing, similar thing, but we then sell it to high schools? He contacts his friend who's a comsci, you know, student at Wits. They create the code fast. But Ari test. Which client do they go to first? He goes to his high school. When he gets to the high school, they're like, yo, no, Mr. Nziba, we can adopt this thing. Let's test it. And his high school then was St. Dunstan. So those St. schools then they adopted. They tested out for a couple of months. That school, just like that. Simple system that they created, which also changed his career for cooperating, entrepreneurship. From that business, he's been able to then establish other business. There was a point where the incubation was incubated under the incubation hub, and they even invested about 2 million back then to the business to help with the infrastructure, to help with marketing, to help with branding and all these things. All right. And there's another guy, Luduk Marshan. I'm not sure if any of you guys have heard of him, but he invented this thing called dry bath. If you ask him the story of how he invented dry bath, Luduk is a guy, right? But he was going to boarding school in Joburg, in another private boarding school. So when he went home during these June holidays, I don't remember what age he said he was. I think he said he was like 16 or something. And he's chilling with his friends, and then the mums was out there, umuruma, and mareja guys, you know, they're talking, then Imam screams and says, hey, Lurik, I don't know what she calls him though. And he's like, shucks, bruh, now turn into go clap, and pay for. Then he jokes with his friends and he's like, dude, imagine if we never had to wash again. As you know, guys. So, well, so they joked about it, but he, you know, after they went and came back, he literally, you know, became something serious. He would question himself, and he was like just 16 at that point. And he was like, what if, like, there could be something that could be made? And he came up with like a scientific equation, and he kept it all the years, 16, even when we met in varsity, he had kept it. He was under a scholarship degree. So with the Allen Gray Scholarship, Noma Ufundai, engineering, medicine, whatever, they instill this, they go through trainings and meet up once in a while. So most of the students, whether or not they studied to become whatever, they have like an entrepreneurial thing within them, and they want to solve problems, and they give them just tests, they test things and stuff. So he had mentors within that program. So they helped him to build this thing into something tangible. And when you look at it today, Cape Town, there was a time when Cape Town had a water shortage, right? Some 2 years ago. Now his product is relevant. Right now, with these whole hand sanitizers, is his product not relevant now? But how many years ago did it take? And he kept at it, even when the doors were shutting in front of him. Right now, it's not even just about us, the general public, but he could be supplying hospitals in Africa where there's no water. So it helps with the water shortage problem. And that makes me then question some of the ideas you might have had when you were 15, 16, that you've just, impossible, never gonna happen. Next is Debs, my guy. So Debs, also, where did I meet Debs? Debs, I met him at GCT as well, but then he later went on to Wits. So he runs a IT business solutions company. So when it comes to things like cloud computing, web development, app development as well, he's the guy to go to. And when I look at some of the clients that he's been bagging lately, guys, corporates, not just even, you can go to him and you ask him to create an app for you. They will do, him and his team will do a splendid job to do that. But they're also bagging the corporates and helping them create systems within their entities. And it then makes you think, start small, but always have like the bigger picture in mind. And as you're journeying, you'll see certain holes or opportunities, right? Another girl that I recently met in the program that I was in, God Gibbs, was Zandile Mkwanazi. And when I saw her yesterday on Google, or if you Google her now, she recently bagged Take as one of her partners. So what she does is she created Girl Code, which is just a place where young girls can be taught how to code. So from the young ages of 6 to even older, but she literally segments them based on their age. And all her vision has just been, we're moving into a technological world, right? And technology or that industry is very male-dominated, right? So how do we then make sure that young females feel comfortable in this area, whether or not they know what coding is or they don't? Let's inform them. And since then, she's literally getting strides and getting really great partners to help her expand this vision. And they don't just teach, they even have hackathons and stuff. They don't just teach in a physical space, they also have like virtual classes as well. And they also make sure that once you get certain certification, they help you get into the job space within the stuff that they've taught you. Right. That's actually what the Takeover deal was also about. Then there's Pineapple Insurance, last but not least. These guys, I know this guy in the sweater personally. Sizongovu, the CTO, Chief Technology Officer. And so how this particular company actually came about, they had entered a competition, these guys did one another. They had entered a competition, solving a problem. Then they were strangers, then they get put into a team. Then they come up with a solution, and then that solution wins, right? So you can decide to either chow the money and split the money and go, or you start the business. They decided, let's start this thing, let's see what happens. As I started this business, what last year, and basically what the business is that you are able to insure your gadget just by taking a picture. So let's say you want to insure your watch or your phone. It's a short-term insurance company, right? Usually when you go in short-term, this one is quick. You take, if you want to insure your laptop, you take a picture of the laptop, and it scans and it values how much you should be paying. The forms are also done online, and then click, you're insured. That's literally what their business model is. And they've literally been able to do some great work and employ people at the same time in that company. The reason why I'm showing you these people is these people are young people. These people are South Africans. These people are you. It could be you. And what I'm trying to show you is not to underestimate who you are, where you are, and also the solutions that you guys possibly could come up with. I'm not saying that entrepreneurship is the only answer. I'm saying look at it as an option. At the same time, I'm saying align yourselves to the skills that are in demand right now or will be in demand in the future. Okay? Be strategic in your own life. So just as much as we are taught how to do business plans, do a business plan of who you are. Right? Like do a feasibility study of yourself. As Rabeto Molapo, PTY Ltd. You have your name there, and you literally, what is my vision? What is my mission? You do an in-depth analysis of yourself. And you ask yourself, what are my strengths, my weaknesses, the opportunities that are around me, but also the threats. The threats could be the sugar daddies. The threats could be whatever, and list them down and literally try to be more strategic and be intentional about your life. No payla or no hammer for the sake of. Because I'm pretty sure some of these solutions could have come up with you guys as well. But implementa na. In conclusion, it goes back to what I said. Find out who you are, what your continent requires you to be, who your continent requires you to be. Discover your core strengths and your passions, and try to link your passion with your career. There are too many people that are just working to get a paycheck. They don't care. 10 o'clock because some of them are just not passionate. They're just here to get a paycheck and leave. And that's why there's so many problems that we face, because they themselves are not solving problems in their institutions, in their governments, in their organizations. Have faith. There's so many times where myself, I've just been discouraged, been depressed, and we know that right now mental health is a real issue. We go through the most. Like entrepreneurs, guys, it's just its own thing. Continue to have faith. If you are, if you believe in God, have faith in God more than yourself, Ibil. Start where you are with what you have. It's great to have the dreams of owning these 10 million rand companies, but start small but then build capacity, continue to build. Last words that I have for you guys today is be somebody that nobody thought you could be. I'm a hater is behind. You're not doing it for them, but try to prove them wrong.